Oh, they definitely have different personalities.
You know, it's not every day you get to stand eye to eye with a celebrity, and these Rovers really are. Spirit, Opportunity, they don't even need last names. Most people think that they're tiny things, but as you can see, they're very much human scale, and they need to be, because they're the eyes and instruments and hammers and even fingers of geologists working on the surface of the Earth. And they've performed absolutely wonderfully. So they really are rock stars.
And many of us do refer to one rover as being the sister of the other rover and that kind of thing. So it's just for fun. You kind of tend to make them more human as you work with them.
When we're on operation shifts, we are tethered, in a sense, to the rover. You know, we're always thinking about what it's doing.
They're in different places, so they've had different experiences. So it's like having a set of twin children, and then they have different experiences and behaving differently because they're encountering different things.
You know, and they do have idiosyncrasies. They are identical twins, but they're living in very different places, dealing with very different problems.
Oh, they definitely have different personalities. Spirit is sometimes referred to as kind of the sister who wants all of the attention, and Opportunity is more of the noble one that just keeps plugging away.
Spirit had a lot more challenging time with the driving because of all the tens of thousands of rocks of various sizes to deal with.
In contrast to Gusev, where the terrain is pretty rugged and rocky, man, it's a parking lot at Meridiani. Once you get out on the plains, man, it is just as flat as they come. We did 140 meters one saw without breaking a sweat. Driving Opportunity long distances was not an issue.
The Rovers have different personalities, and then the people that drive them or the people that operate them have different personalities.
You know, Spirit learned how to drive in that environment with a lot of help from the Rover drivers and engineers, gaining that experience. And an Opportunity had to get out of the crater and into another crater and interacting with very slippery slopes, steep slopes, the equivalent of trying to drive a golf cart on a plywood board covered with ball bearings. You know, it's not an easy thing.
But because they can drive, because they can get up and out of pits and around obstacles, they've opened up a new era for planetary science.
You have a whole new situation. With these mobile robots on Mars,
mobility is special in its own way. If you're not at the right site, you can get to the right site.
We're not sitting there doing nothing or doing the same thing over and over again every day in a, you know, not really learning anything new.
we can move to different places, and it's as if we had landed in a completely different place.
If we ever ran out of science to do, we get to move to a location where there's new science.
Rovers, that's what makes them so wonderful, is that they go to new locations. So as long as there are new locations that have things you haven't seen before in them, you can always be exploring in a broadest sense.
So it's not like you're going to clear out a spot and that's the end of the mission. We proved that on Spirit, where we landed in an area that was probably not as interesting as what Opportunity had found, but Spirit had the ability to actually drive over to the Husband Hill and climb it and see what's on the other side.
We drove 3.5 kilometers from our landing site at Gusev Crater, and we're in this completely different place, this complex set of hills with completely different geology than what we found at our landing site. So all we need to do to have a different mission is drive the rover to a different location.
The key aspect of where to go is always science-driven. Now, how to get to where we want to go sometimes is an engineering decision.
We make calls if there are safety issues, then the engineering team will kind of say, yeah, you guys want to go there, but we don't have enough wheels on, firm terrain. We can't drive down into that part of the crater and look at the dunes.
And the safety issues really came to a head as Opportunity approached the scientifically tantalizing Endurance Crater.
When we got to the business of are we going to go down into Endurance Crater or not, that was a big deal. That was a major big deal. Because Endurance, there was never any question that we could get down in. These vehicles can go down slopes as steep as about 45 degrees, and so we knew we could get in. What we didn't know is if we could get out again.
Those slippery spherical blueberries are difficult to drive on, especially in places where there's no nice bedrock underneath them.
Turns out, as long as you can keep at least 4 wheels or so on solid rock, This thing's a robotic mountain goat. This thing can climb slopes of 30 degrees.